Okay, so let's start with shells. There are different kinds of shells that people use in different systems. Some of the popular shells are Bourne shell, corn shell, C shell, born again shell, and Z shell. Specifically, if you use Linux, then you are probably using Bash shell, and if you are using Mac, specifically after 2000, after 10.15, then you are using basically Z shell. All of the shells have very common functionalities, but they have certain differences. Okay. Now, we will actually focus on one shell. For example, on my Mac, I will be using Z shell, and probably on the Snowball server, if you see, you will see that your shell is probably Bash. That means born again shell. So they are pretty much similar, so we don't need to worry about that. As you can see that if you want to run a utility, then you just need to simply type the name of the utility and then you press enter. That's it. So that is the way you can run a utility. And also, for example, date is an utility, clear is an utility, and you can also use the man command. So man command means the manual command, and manual is usually written in multiple sections. So you can also do what? You can also learn the you can also learn about a word, for example, a function, and this command will specify this section of the manual to search for the given word. So maybe we can see one example, and that will make more sense, right? Okay, so this now, for example, okay, so if you want, so you can use S3. S means the section, so it will give you it will give you information about the printf function. It will give the manual of the printf function from section 3. Okay, so if you want to come out of this manual, you have to simply press Q. Okay, so that's the way. So let's, if I simply try this, what will happen? Okay, what manual page do you want? So that's the thing. So you have to specify which section you are referring to, right? That means manual from section 3, and tell me information about the printf function. So that was the goal. And if you want, if you can, now you can traverse this manual and learn about this function. So that's the goal. Yeah, if you have any question, please ask me. Why are you sorry? Oh, for the sound? Okay, thank you. Okay, so you can also type, for example, date. So it will give you the date. So this is actually, every command I am typing is called an utility. So date is an utility, and another one can be clear. So clear will clear the screen. It will clear the screen. So this way you can implement different utilities. For example, if you want to learn about the keyword printf, then you could simply type what? Manual keyword printf, and then it will give you all of the references of the printf functions. That means all the functions that have the keyword printf as part of it, all of these functions and their section numbers in the manual will be displayed. And then you can probably search for, if you are interested about some function, for example vprintf, then you could simply type manual vprintf. It's fine. You could directly type manual vprintf, or what you could do is manual section 3 vprintf. Okay, so this way you can learn about many functions. See here, vprintf, vfprintf, these are actually sub functions of printf. Okay, so that's why they are being showed collectively. Okay, so let's move to the next slide, because we have lots of things. And one more thing, if you want to simply log out of this manual, you can press Ctrl D, or you could press simply Q, right? So say you are looking at this function and then you can simply type Ctrl D. I think not Ctrl D, you have to type Q. Control D is for what? Control D is to execute exit function, right? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay, sorry, I have actually logged out of the system. I need to log in again. Yes, so I have logged in again. Okay, so we are here and then start here. Okay, now if you want to see the terminal, the setting of the terminal, this is one of the important slides. You have to use stty command. That means set terminal command. You can see the current settings of the terminal using stty -a. Then it will show you the current setup. That means you can cause interrupt by pressing Ctrl C. Please note that this is actually the control character. So you have to press Ctrl C to interrupt. That means to stop a process, and then you could use what? Control backward slash to quit, delete character, or delete character is actually equivalent to control and question mark, and you could kill a word. We will see example. So these are the current settings that you can use to do these kind of operations. For example, start, another example is stop, another example is suspend. Okay, so we'll see some examples, but the thing you just need to keep in mind that it means actually pressing the control key. Okay, so, and this means you are pressing Control and C. Now let's see how we can do it. Let's see one example that makes more sense to you. Okay, so for example, if you use ls means listing all of the files and directories. So if you use this, it will list all the files and directories. See, it is running. So if I press Ctrl S, sorry, it has already finished or not? Okay. Okay. So Control S. Okay. So it is stopped. I pressed Ctrl S, so it is stopped. See, and if I press now Ctrl Q, it will move on. Did you see? So Ctrl S is to stop and Ctrl Q is to start. Another can be, for example, you are running the same command, now you are pressing Ctrl C. It means you completely stop the program from the background. And Ctrl S and Ctrl Q, Ctrl S actually didn't stop, Ctrl S only stopped the printing. Okay. Okay. So we will see examples. We'll see more examples basically. Okay, so Control S simply pauses the output, but it does not stop the process. Control Q actually resumes the printing of the output. Okay, so let's move. Okay, so if you press Control H, it will erase characters before your cursor. If you press Ctrl W, it will erase word before your cursor. If you press Ctrl U, it will erase entire line. If you press, okay, so let's first see these three examples. Ctrl H, Ctrl W, Ctrl U. For example, you are typing 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you press Ctrl H, it will just remove one character. See? So we have seen Ctrl H erase character before cursor. So you have just pressed Ctrl, I just pressed Ctrl H and it removed only one character before the cursor. Ctrl H, one character. Ctrl H, another character. Now let's move to the next one. Ctrl W, it will erase word before the cursor. That means if I now press Ctrl W, it should remove 3, right? Ctrl W, Ctrl W, Ctrl W. Okay. So that's it. So let's see other example. For example, Ctrl U. If you press Ctrl U, then it will remove the entire line. See? Ctrl Q, it will remove the entire line. So that's it. And Control R is another useful utility that you can use to execute a command that you have executed earlier. Now you can search them from your history and then execute again. For example, if you now press Ctrl R, it is allowing you to execute reverse search. So you can say you want to see if you have typed a command like ls. Yes, you did some ls command, right? Now you can go back and forth and see which commands you immediately typed before your ls command or after your ls command. Okay. So okay, yeah, you could search from your previous commands and you could execute using this Control R command. Okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind that you have to practice a lot at home. So this class has limited time, 1 hour and 15 minutes. This is not enough. So you have to go home and do it by yourself. Okay. but I'm trying to show you the basic stuff and how you can do it. And if you have any instant confusion, please let me know. Okay, so we have already learned Control H, Control W, Control U, Control R. So basically, Control R is to search a command that you have used earlier using some letters that you can remember. So use those letters to search and then you can execute. Okay, so we have already shown one example. Another example can be this. For example, I am echoing. So echo is an equivalent command of print statement in Java or Python. So echo means print this is that, or print echo hello world. That means print hello world, something like that. So um, let me give you another example so that you can again recall. So let's do ls command. Let's let's move to 3320 directory. Now let's do what? Hello world. So you have executed 3 commands consecutively. Now you want to search one command from this history and want to execute again. So you have to press Ctrl R, reverse I search, that means reverse interactive search. Then say we want to execute the cd command. Yes, this is the command we actually executed, right? So maybe we want to execute cd command again with the directory name is spring 2025, but spring 2025 is not there, right? So it will not execute. But you got the idea that you can search from the past commands and execute one of them. Okay. Okay, so now we will learn about some special commands called Control C, Control Z, Control S, Control Q, Control D, right? Let's first start with Control C. I will run it from my local machine so that you can better see what's going on. Okay. You see my screen here, and I will show from here. Okay. Okay. So let's execute a command. Control C, interrupt running program, right? So you are doing what? So let's execute a program. It means show all the files and directories recursively from the root. Forward slash means the root directory. So starting from the root directory, show all the files and directories. So I am running it. Now, if I press, so you see that it is running. So if I press Ctrl C, it means I have pressed Ctrl C, and it means it will completely interrupt the running program. The program that was running earlier, it is no longer running. So that's it. That is interrupt, Control C. Now we'll see how we can use Control Z. Control Z means suspending. So when we pressed Control C, it completely stopped. There is no way to resume. We can start afresh, but we cannot resume. But let's say we are executing these. Now we press Control G. It means suspended. It is now in the background and waiting for your permission to resume. So how you can do that? So you can use FG command to resume it. Control Z, suspended, and then FG to resume. Okay. So that's it. That's That's the way we suspend. And control, if you press Control S, I just pressed Control S, it means behind the scene the program is running, but it is not printing. So if we want to print it again, then we have to type what? Control Q. So it resumed printing. So that is the difference. I hope you understood. If you did not, then please let me know. And another thing, Control D. So let's interrupt this one. That means let's completely stop this one by pressing Control C. So I have pressed Control C, stopped completely. And now let's do some exercise using Control D. Control D means end of file. So earlier I said that you can use cat command to create a file and you can insert your text into that file. So if you want to directly print the content, so you don't have to use the angle bracket, but you see this file does not exist. So we want to create this file and write some text into it. So you have to use angle bracket. Okay. Okay. So today we are conducting our class online on WebEx on January 22nd. So you can write whatever you want and then press Control D. Control D means you are specifying that this is the end of the file. Okay. So you have learned that FG command is basically used after Control Z. Control Z is for the suspension and FG command is to resume its operation again. Okay, so let's move then. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Okay, so there are lots of commands you can see, but this command will be, we will study these commands in subsequent slides. But just for now, think about these commands. So you have already learned few of them. For example, you have already learned ls command. Ls command is used to list files and directories. You have already seen this command. Cat command is used to display the contents. And in some of our earlier classes, you have seen this command, head command, to display a few lines from the top of a file. And you have probably you have seen the cd command and pwd command so far. So we will see other commands in today's class. Okay, so let's move. And another thing I just wanted to mention that in this course we'll be often using the VI text editor. This text editor is actually supported by your PowerShell, by Mac terminal, or your Linux terminal. Okay, so in the subsequent slides, we have detailed discussions about all the other commands. So let's move. Before moving for commands, let's understand about paths. So path is very important concept in operating system and in system level programming. So there are two different kinds of paths. One path is called absolute path and another kind of path is called a relative path. Can you hear me? I am not hearing from any of you. Are you hearing me? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So there are two different kinds of paths, absolute path and relative path. So every absolute path starts with forward slash. It means the root directory of your computer system. For example, this is an absolute path. It says start from the root directory, there is a directory called home. And under this directory, there is another directory or file named my file. So this is absolute path. Absolute path every time starts with forward slash. Okay. For example, I can give you another example a bit later, but let's first talk about relative path. Relative path is relative to its current directory, right? For example, if many of you are from different countries. Some of you are from US, some of you are from Asia, some of you are from Europe, and so on. So your absolute address should be from your should be your family of origin, for example. So I am coming from Asia, from that country, from that division, and from that district, and so on. So that is the absolute address for me. But my relative address should be what? I With respect to GSU, my relative address is say my relative address is Lindbergh or Midtown, right? So you understood the point. So absolute means with respect to the root directory of the computer system, and relative path name means with respect to the current location or current directory. So always this symbol refers to the root directory, and when we press only dot, it refers to the current directory. Please note, it refers to the current directory. And double dot, it refers to the parent directory. Okay, so what does this path mean? It means from the current directory, I want to open a file called a.out. Okay, and what does this mean? It means from the parent directory. It means go one level up and then search for this file and open it, p2.cpp. Let's see another example, then we will show it on our terminal. So this is, imagine that this is your computer system. Your computer system has a root directory, as you can see here. And it has, under this root directory, let's say you have 3 directories: home, etc, and bin, right? And under this home directory, you have CSc3320, and under this CSc3320 directory, you have only one file, that's test.txt, right? Okay, so, and also you see that under etc, you have only one file called try.c, and under bin directory, you have try. So now, if you want to specify the absolute path of test.txt, you have to specify like this. See here? You have to specify root directory, that means root, home, CSc3320, and test.txt to give the full address. So you can consider it as the full address. And for this file, you have to specify root directory, etc, and then try.c. See here, right? Okay. Let's move to the next slide and understand how relative paths actually work. So in order to understand relative paths, first of all, you have to ask, what is my current location, where I am currently at? For example, we are currently meeting with respect to GSU computer science. So this is our current relative location. So similarly, when you understand paths in a computer system, you have to understand where you are currently at. So let's assume that we are currently within this directory. We are currently within this directory, and then what will be the relative address for this file? The relative address for this file will be, see here, directly you can use test.txt, or you have to use what? Just period slash. Period slash means from the current directory, I can directly access this test.txt. Okay, so we are here. Now, if we want to access this file based on our relative path, we have to move one upward, and then we have to move another upward. See here, and then we have to come downward, and then we have to come downward, right? Okay, so how you can do it? So see, double dot means go upward, and then again double dot means go upward, and then etc means go one step downward, and then try dot c, come one step downward. And I hope you understood it, right? So how many of you understood? Can anyone say that he or she understood this concept of absolute path and relative path? It will be part of your lab 2 tomorrow. So please try to understand. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay, good. So, okay, good, great. PWD, this command is very familiar to you. You have already seen this example earlier. PWD means print working directory, where you are right now. I have already shown this example in some of our earlier classes. So let's not spend time on this one because we have many other stuff to finish. Okay, now I already have shown this example. So this is an example where you are creating a file using cat command. The name of the file is letter, where you are writing a letter to your mom, right? So you are writing a letter to your mom here. So you can do it in your terminal. I have already shown at the very beginning of this class. And when you are done with your writing or your input, you can simply press Ctrl D. So this is Ctrl D. When you press Ctrl D, this is the end of your file, right? Now you can see the details of the file. So how you can see the details of the file? You have to type ls and what? Let me show you. Okay, so this is a snowball. So see here, we have only one file. So if we want to open this file, we can simply do what? This. We could do it another way using the concept of dot. Dot means the current directory. So we are within this directory, right? Okay, so we can open this file. Now, let's go back, and we are here. We can see we have multiple file here, my session.txt or test.txt. So let's use ls command. -l actually means long listing. That means please tell me the details of this file, tell me the basic characteristics of this file. So using long listings means human readable format. So show the information of the file test.txt in long format, in human readable format. Okay, sorry, I have missed it. Yeah, so you see, it is showing some information about this file. First of all, it is showing the permission of this file. This is the number of hard links, so you don't need to know about what is this. We'll come to the hard link later in our course. But for now, you need to know about the file permission and who is the owner of the file and what is the group name of this user. Okay, how many characters are there or how many bytes are there and so on. So let's see from our PowerPoint. As you can see, I think this is the permission of the file, the letter file we just created. One is the number of hard link, and we don't need to know the concept of hard link right now. And who was the owner of this file? The owner of this file was um, Raj. And in which group this owner belongs to? Other group. And how many bytes are there in the file? 38 bytes. When this file was modified, this. So it is actually showing you what is the name of the file later. So it is actually showing you the details of the file, right? Okay, so let's move to the next one. Specifically, you could use lots of hyphens. You are not restricted to use only uh, one tag. You could use multiple options, right? So earlier you have used only one, only -l. So you can set multiple options simultaneously. Okay, so we don't need to know all of the tags right now, but for your understanding, let me describe one or two so that you can understand. For example, A, even if it is hidden file, please display it. That is your request with -a. If you specify ls -a, it means please display all the hidden files too. And if you use L, then please describe the characteristics in long listing format. If you specify G, it means also specify the group name. If you use R, it means please list all the files, directories, and subdirectories within that directory. So that's why earlier we used what? Earlier we used a command. Maybe you can remember ls. Okay, let me show you here. Earlier we used what? One command like ls. It means recursive, right? So you could use ar, or alr. It's fine. So you can use any combination of the files. Okay? Any combination of the options. Okay, now press Ctrl C, it will stop. Now let's move to the next one. Okay, so we will now learn about what? Cat command. So we have already seen the function of cat command, and cat command usually displays the contents of a file, and more command is actually similar to cat command, but more command does not uh, print all of the contents one after another. More command actually prints only one screen equivalent of output and then waits. That means it is paused. So you have to press space bar to move to the next screen to print more output from that file. And if you want to quit, then you have to press Q. Okay. Okay, and if you just simply press enter, it will show the next line of output, right? Okay, page is similar to more commands. So you should understand that more page are actually alternative commands to cat command, and more page, these commands also are used to display the contents of files. But paste command clears screen before each page, right? Okay. Okay, so it is very similar to more, but it clears the previous screen and shows the new contents and so on. Okay, so in our earlier class, we have seen one example of head command. It displays n lines from front of file, and tail command actually specifies what? It specifies n lines from the end of file. maybe you have seen earlier that I was using head command. All right, so let's see. We have a file called mylog, right? Mylog, no, my file, sorry. Okay, not the one. Let's, yes, so it's a, so we can combine the head command with cat command. For example, we want to, so please, we are using the concept of pipe. See here, the vertical bar. That means print the contents of zombie.c, but only show first 5 lines, head minus 5. So it will show only the first 5 lines, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and the next line is space. That means nothing is there. And you could also display the last 5 lines. See? So this is the last 5 lines of this program. Okay, see? The last 5 lines of your program. Okay, so this is the idea of using head and tail. Now let's work on make directory, cd, and print working directory. I believe that you have already learned pwd. Probably you have already seen cd and make directory, but let me show you again because this will be part of your tomorrow's lab. Say you want to create a directory. So first of all, let me see my directory structures, right? Now let's say we will create a directory using command make directory, whose name will be spring 2025. Okay, so you can now see that spring 2025 is here, right? You just created one directory, and now you can see your current working directory using print working directory command. So this is my current directory, and this is the absolute path. Please note, this is absolute path, right? And now if we want to visit this spring 2025 directory, we have to type cd spring 2025. So now we are where? If you press pwd, you will see. So this is the absolute path of your current location. And what is the current location in relative terms? The relative terms, your current location is dot. That's it. So this is your current location. Now, if I want to access, say, my session.txt, and you know that my session.txt is within this directory, right? And you are currently at here. So if you want to use absolute path to open the my session.txt, you have to type, okay, yes, you can do it. But say you don't want to use absolute path, you want to use relative path. How you can do it? So you have to remember that you are where? You are currently at this location, right? So your task is to move one step to the parent, and then within that directory it has this file, right? So you can use this relative path to open the file. How many of you understood this concept of absolute path and relative path? Good, 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 good. Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So far we have understood make directory, change directory, print working directory, and so on. And you probably understood that if you want to move to the parent directory, then you have to type cd dot dot and press enter. Okay, now let's talk about mv command. So mv command is to move files from one location to another location. So when you move files or directories, when you move files and directories from one location to another location, it may happen that the new destination already has a file you are trying to transfer. In that case, if you use this -i option, then it will show you, hey, you are trying to move a file that already exists. Do you want to overwrite or not? If you want to overwrite, then you will go ahead. If you don't want to do that, you will come back. So that is the reason for using -i flag. You can also use the mp command to only simply rename your files or directories, right? So let's see one quick example so that you understand how mb command actually works. Okay, so we are here. Okay, we don't have any file here, so let's move one step upward, and we have a file, new file.txt, and we want to move this file, say move this file from this location to, see here, I'm using relative path here. You want to move your file here. Yes. So now you will see that your new file.txt is no longer here. But if you visit this directory, this file is here, right? So this is the way you can move your file. And let's say you want to rename this file. In that case, you have to simply type what? New file.txt, my new file.txt, or my new file.txt. So you are trying to rename this file using mb command. Okay, now if you type ls command, you will see that new file.txt no longer exists. Instead, my new file.txt exists. It means that the file has been renamed. Okay, so let's go back and start. Okay, now a cp command. cp's command is used to copy files and directories from one location to another location. And please also note the note the interactive option. That means if you try to copy a file to a location where a file with the identical name already exists. So if that is the case, then it will show you the warning message. Do you want to proceed or not? So based on your decision, you will proceed, right? And also, please note the R option. R option means recursive option. It means you are using cp command to copy files and directories from one location to another location, but R option will allow you to copy directories that have subdirectories within it. Okay, so R means recursive. So whenever you want to copy a directory, it will also look for other subdirectories within that directory, or other subdirectories within that further subdirectories, and so on. Okay, so that is the idea of R flag. So if you don't use R flag, and if your source directory has subdirectories, it will not work. It will give you a message that this command cannot be executed because it has subdirectories, unless you specify the R flag. Okay, now let's talk about remove file. So please note that you can use rm command to remove files and directories. Again, um, and I prompt is again to inquire that are you serious that you want to remove this file or so. Okay, and you can remove multiple files or directories at the same time, but if you don't specify r, then rm command will not remove the directories that have subdirectories. So if a directory has subdirectories and if you want to remove all the directory structure, then you have to specify rm-r and then the directory name. And you also need to be very careful that this is a permanent deletion. So once you remove it, you cannot take it back. And there is another command that you can use to remove directory, that is called rmdir. That means remove directory. You can use this command to remove a directory when that directory is empty. For example, I tried to remove a directory using remove directory command to remove this directory, but it gave me a warning message, directory not empty. Okay, that means if our directory is not empty, then this remove directory command does not work. Okay. Okay, so let's move to the next one. WC, word count. So if you use WC with these options -CLW, and then if you specify the file name, then C will count the number of bytes, L will count the number of new line characters. It means how many lines are there in your file, and W option will print the number of words in that file. Okay, I hope it is very easy and you can simply understand it, right? Okay, so earlier I have described the basic features that you can get using the ls command. For example, you are using ls command to get the basic characteristics of this file, right? So let's assume that we have executed this command with these options, and you already know what do these options actually mean from the earlier slide. We'll not go into that, but let me briefly talk about some of the characteristics that will be very useful for us, right? So it means the first characteristics, these four actually means how many physical blocks this file is using to be stored on hard disk. And then it specifies the type of the file. Is it a regular file or not? So simply hyphen means it's a regular file. And then it will display all the files and all the file permissions. The first three specifies the permissions for user, and the second three specifies the permission for the group members, and the last three specifies the file permission for the other users who are not part of the same group. So we will see the details of this file permission later, but this is for now. And then this is the number of hard link count, so we will not go into that and it will not be required for now. Now let's consider the next characteristics, file owner. It will also show who is the owner of this file, and now it will show you who or which group this user actually belongs to. Okay, and then it will show how many bytes this file is taking to be stored, and when this file was last modified, and then what is the name of the file, and so on. Okay, so now let's move to the next one to understand the file permission. So always you will see that file permission has these 9 characters. The first one is not file permission. Please note this first character only specifies the type of the file. That means hyphen usually specifies the regular file type. So these first three actually means permission for user owner. That means R for reading, W for writing, X for executing. That means user can read, user can write, user can execute if it is executable file. And if one permission, if in place of one permission, if you see only a hyphen, then it means no permission set. So let's understand the permission for the groups. So these three letters, these three characters actually specifies the permission for group. That means the group members, the users who belong to the same group can read, can write, but cannot execute because it is hyphen. Please note that it specifies that execution is not allowed. And for users who don't belong to the same group of the as the owner, can only read, they cannot write, you see, and they cannot execute. Okay, so let's move to the next one. Okay, so you can also see the type of file, if it is a binary file or if it is a ASCII file. You can easily know that if you have to type simply what? You have to type simply file and the name of the file, right? So if you type file and the name of the file, it will show you what type of content this file contains. And if you want to see the content type of each of the file, then you have to type file asterisk. It will asterisk means, okay, I want to know this information for all the files in the system. That's it. Or all the files in the current directory specifically. Okay. So now let's move to the next one. And you can also list the groups a particular user belongs to. For example, let me show you quickly. For example, I am at Snowball here and I can type, say, groups M Rahman 21. It will show me all the groups I belong to. Yes, it is showing me all the groups. You can also type at your end that which groups you belong to. So you have to simply type groups and then your username.